Welcome to Geek on Film with your host, Robbie Holmes. Hey there, and welcome to episode 3 of season 3 of Geek on Film. This week we'll be talking about The Brutalist in the main review. I've already touched on it in passing on the Middleburg Film Festival podcast, but felt like it needed a full review given its impact and how it has bounced into the awards conversation. But before we get there, we're going to talk about 2 short films and then 1 feature-length film that I caught up on. So to kick us off this time, we'll talk about I'm Not a Robot. This is a short written and directed by Victoria Warmerdam. Our friends over at IMDb have the summary as, after repeatedly failing CAPTCHA tests, music producer Laura becomes obsessed with the disturbing question, could she be a robot? I will say that is the premise. We end up in a situation where we watch Laura, who's played by Ellen Perrin, interacting with a computer in a lot of ways, trying to log in, failing a CAPTCHA, and then being shuttled off to call tech support, and then tech support very pointedly asking her, well, are you a robot? Is this sort of seemingly very simple, silly premise that turns very quickly. I was truly impressed with this. This is the only 5-star film I've given in the shorts this year. And I think if I had my way, this would be a film that would be on everyone's radar. That's why I wanted to talk about it. I want this to be a longer film. That is the best thing I can say about this. I'm confused as to what other people are seeing in it and why its rating is what it is. Right now on Letterboxd, it's a 3.5. But for me, I was completely blown away. My review, I gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd, and I called it, I love this. The way the story unfolds, the lead actress who plays Laura is amazing, so powerful, and the ending is real gut punch. Best short film I've seen in 2024. So this is it for me right now. Short film, I hope it is the nominee, and I hope it wins. Nothing else has sent me towards a 5-star rating this year. I loved it. Please check it out. It's on... That one is a New Yorker short, so you can go and find it on the New Yorker website, but you can also check the link in the description of this podcast. Next up is a seemingly innocuous film called Meat Puppet. It is written and directed by Eros V. It stars Greg Chilligren, David Johnson, and Mayreed Tyers. So these are actors that I've seen in other things that I really had such a good time stumbling across this. It came up as an option for me in my YouTube sort of homepage. I have an account on Shorts of the Week, and I was really excited to see that Shorts of the Week is now pushing, and it's ending up in my algorithm, because this was a really amazing little find. So the story, according to IMDb, is Oz misses his girlfriend's graduation while playing with toys. A puppet arrives that imprisons Oz's soul, leaving his dying body. Body dying, I think is what it's supposed to be. To save his relationship and survive, Oz must grow up. I will tell you, this movie has an adorable puppet. That puppet is surprisingly... You've seen puppets like this in the past. It almost looks Henson-y would be the way I would put it. I was so blown away by what David is doing as Oz, and the turns this takes in such a short period of time was amazing. So my review is, what a clever and silly short with 2 amazing young actors that you should know. David Johnson is on Industry, and Mayreed Tyers is on Extraordinary. She was also in Belfast, but I've seen her on Extraordinary recently, and she's so good at leading up that show. This was fun. You should see it. It is Short of the Week. You can find it on YouTube. Click the link in the description to find it yourself. Next up, I'm going to talk about a film I missed from last year that was in the international competition. It's The Teacher's Lounge. I am not going to give you the title in its native language because I'm just going to butcher it, just like I'm going to butcher everything else that's about to happen. But the writer is Johannes Dunker, and Ilkar Katak, and Katak is the director. Sorry, folks. The cast here is the main character that we follow, the teacher, the titular teacher that we are following into the lounge is Leona Benich is playing Carla Nowak, and then it's a pretty. I really like this film, but a lot of other people didn't. So the summary for this film on IMDb is: when one of her students is suspected of theft, teacher Carla Nowak decides to get to the bottom of the matter. Caught between her ideals and the school system, the consequences of her actions threaten to break her. This is a movie that is full of contrivances of adults doing dumb things, but it allows for this building tension. So for me, I gave this 4 stars. Let me give you my review. While I will be retroactively adding this to my best films of 2023, a truly uncomfortable film with a serious force of will in the actor who plays Oscar. Oscar is one of the main characters of this movie. It's one of the students, and boy, howdy, that child is unflappable in kind of the most amazing of ways. It looks like Oscar was played by Leonard Stetnich. Wow, I was blown away. This movie really touched me in the feels because I feel for people who are in positions of authority that is just perceived authority, which is what it feels like teachers have today. It's just leaning into the idea that teachers should be paid more money than they're paid. They also should be supported more by their schools. They should be able to lean on their colleagues more. The teachers are like this terrible backbiting sort of mean girl posse that she is on the outside of. Yeah, this really got me. I really loved it. I hope that we end up in a situation where some more films from this writing directing crew, and we get to see more of Leona Benesh. Poor Carla is new to the school and has basically ended up in the crosshairs of some of the old timers and ends up being manipulated after making a dumb decision, but that dumb decision ends up turning into something that becomes a big problem. So go watch this. I really liked it. It's on Netflix. There are some critics that really don't like it. I'm a big fan of The Big Picture, and I looked up what Sean Fennessy had to say about it, and he gave it 2.5 stars. I actually commented on his review because I was like, if nothing else, this is a gentleman's 6 or 7 from our friends over at the Blank Check podcast. I admit the script is not the greatest, but they're adults doing contrived adult things. But I do think that my answer to his review was a lot about like I was caught up in the emotion and the wave of panic that was happening, and I think we should give Leonie Benesh her kudos for being the face of that pressure. All right, that's it for everything that is not the Brutalist. So we're going to jump into the Brutalist. Now, this is my second time seeing it. I saw it with friends and my wife. And so let's jump in. Brady Corbet and Mona Fastvold wrote this film. It was directed by Brady Corbet. It stars Adrian Brody as Laszlo Toth, Felicity Jones as Esbeth Toth, Guy Pearce as Harrison Lee Van Buren Sr., Joe Alwyn as Harry Lee, Rafi Cassidy as Sophia, Stacey Martin as Maggie Lee, Isaac DeBencol as Gordon. I think that pretty much covers what I would probably talk about. So the summary, according to IMDb, is when a visionary architect and his wife flee post-war Europe in 1947 to rebuild their legacy and witness the birth of modern United States, their lives are changed forever by a mysterious wealthy client. I think that's a thin, summary, but I will say I've now seen this twice, and I can tell you that my initial impression still holds, which is I think this feels like two movies. The first section, so this is a movie that actually has an intermission. You may have already heard that. It's like 3 hours and 20 minutes. It truly does feel like there are two films here. The pre-intermission, like hour and 40 minutes, is very much like you're on a roller coaster and you can hear it getting to the top. There's this clink, 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 clink that you're getting to where the drop is about to happen. There are some things in there in the first half that aren't perfect, but it is generally seen, I think, as the upswing of Laszlo's life. He goes through some crazy stuff where he makes it to America. He goes and he meets up with his family, his cousin, who is Attila, who's played by Alessandro Nivola, and he's pretty amazing. And his wife is um, played by Emma Laird, I believe, as Audrey. She is she's the sort of his cousin is Jewish and has moved here. Has created a furniture store called Miller and Sons. When Laszlo asks his cousin if she is not Jewish, he says that she's Catholic and we're Catholic. So I think in order to get along, you can see that Attila has decided to lean into an Americanized version of who he is. He changed his last name to Miller from Mueller. So it's a really interesting take that Laszlo runs into immediately, and then pretty quickly is put in an uncomfortable situation because of a job they get where they're commissioned by Harry Lee Van Buren to go and rebuild to convert a library into something more modern for their father, and that is Harrison Lee Van Buren Sr., played by Guy Pearce. And he, after they've done all this work, where you've seen it in the trailer, these beautiful bookcases with doors that are interconnected that close, and this very simplistic conversion of a very dusty, crufty old library into this stark, beautiful library that he creates. Guy Pearce's Harrison barges in when the work is almost done, and it basically just leans in to Attila and Laszlo for invading his home. That there's a black man walking on his property and scared his mother, and like he just has this like over the top, like caricature-esque, white privilege millionaire personality in the business world, and she's just leaning in. I think Guy Pearce is crazy good in this movie. I feel like for a long time there are certain actors that you're like, I don't get it. Why did they just not take off? Josh Hartnett and Guy Pearce are two of those people. And when you see him in this movie, you're like, good Lord, like, why didn't we let Guy Pearce do more? That is high praise for somebody who's kind of a terrible villain. So the first part of this movie is Laszlo's story coming to America. And then all of a sudden, we go through the intermission. This mysterious benefactor, Harrison, has connected Laszlo and brought him almost as like a show pony to this big, beautiful dinner with all of his friends. And that leads to him meeting a lawyer who's one of his clients is the vice president in the vice president's office. So Laszlo is offered help to try to get his wife and his niece to come to America. And we kind of really open the second act with Laszlo getting his wife coming off of a train and us seeing the ravages of war on his wife and his niece. And then, really like Felicity Jones shows up and sort of tries to almost wrench the film out of Adrian Brody's hands. Her Elsbeth is amazing. What she's doing here is really unbelievable. Probably the best she's ever been on film. And the story as it unfolds is this like terribly brutal aspect of tearing down the American dream, in my opinion. I don't want to give away the second half, but it is rough. It lives into sort of the Brutalist is the architecture type of the architect. The Brutalist could be the way that Harrison sees and treats the world, the way that he treats Laszlo, the way that Laszlo eventually treats the world. You can see Laszlo's sort of optimism disappearing and he hardens. And a big part of that, I feel like, is the way that he's treated by society, and that society is really represented by Harrison. Uh, I gave this movie 4 stars the 2 times I've seen it. I think the second half is not as crisp and not as clean as the first half of the movie. I think if it was, and that's saying something because I feel like Felicity Jones really elevates the second half. I think I really loved the first half of the movie, and I really felt like it was probably that first hour and 40 minutes. If it was one single movie about like life of a Jewish immigrant after who survived the Holocaust coming to America, it may have been a 4.5 star film, or maybe even 5, depending on how it ended and how you felt walking out of the theater. But because of the second half and how there's a lot of complications and there's things that are very unexpected, but beyond that, like not as clear as I wish they were, I think we end up in a position where I came down as this is a 4 star film. I think that Adrian, if we were going to, really think about this, I think Adrian Brody deserves a nod here as best actor without batting an eyelash. I think that we were lucky that Brady Corbet cast Felicity Jones and Guy Pearce. I think both of them in the right year would have been nominated for best supporting actors and actress, and I think they should have been this year. The supporting roles this year are very complicated. There's a lot of big names, but I think like what Guy Pearce is doing here is really unbelievable. And I think Felicity Jones, if she had been in the whole film, may have garnered more attention. With the time she had on screen, she did a lot, enough to make me consider it. And I think that, the cinematography and the production design and, oh, good Lord, the score, like it might be the only score that is comparable to what's going on with Challengers. I said when I was leaving at the intermission to a friend of mine, I was like, Challengers, the score makes the movie work. It adds kinetic energy. It makes the movie feel more impressive and alive. The Brutalist score makes it feel more epic. It like every time you hear that opening trumpet, the discordant trumpet that is happening when we see the Statue of Liberty for the first time, or anytime it's used throughout the movie to sort of highlight a moment in this person's life, it almost brings me to tears. Like it's amazingly powerful. And I think it is probably the only thing that has a chance, in my opinion, of being recognized above the Challengers soundtrack, which I think is maybe the most listened to soundtrack for me from this year. And then going all the way down, like all the costuming is beautiful. Like, there's just so many little details in this movie for something that, we know its budget. So that's part of the story. This is a film that was made for, I think, like $14 million, and it was shot in VistaVision, and all those little nuances and details that we've been told as an audience, they impact how you feel about the film. And I struggle to see how this is not going to be on a lot more people's radars. I know it's a long film. I know it's complicated. I know that for a lot of people that's going to be difficult, but I really hope people give it a shot. At least give it a shot so that way they can have an honest conversation about it. I think that's it for me. I expected this week to be the complete unknown, but I think with The Brutalist coming out in wide release, I really wanted to focus on this film and get my thoughts out there before it was irrelevant. So I think this is 100% in the conversation for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Production Design, Score, cinematography, probably. So we're at 6. That's a good sign for Brady Corbet. It means he probably has as our friends at the Blank Check podcast probably has that blank check now. I expect that he will be allowed to do whatever he would like to do going forward. It's a pretty impressive film. If you haven't seen it, see it, and see it on the best sound and screen you can. I posted a Blue Sky message saying like I was really annoyed. There's like no 70 millimeter in the state of Virginia. The closest is all the way over in the AFI Center in Silver Spring. I really wish that there was more here in my backyard. I don't want to have to go to DC. I don't want to have to go to Maryland. I really wish somewhere in Northern Virginia that there was a rep theater that played these extremely important films that are made in these formats in the format they were shot. So I'll step off my soapbox. Thank you so much for listening, and look forward to. I've got about 4 or 5 more episodes queued up. I expect to record another one this weekend, and probably 2 next week. Trying to get through all the stuff I watched when I was taking a little bit of a break because of the house construction and because of the medical issues. So thank you much for sticking in there, and I look forward to getting out A Complete Unknown in a couple days. So go to the movies, go see amazing stuff, sit on your couch and watch amazing stuff. Oh, I've queued up all my films for the Sundance Film Festival. I'm really excited. The other thing that's happening is I may have to sneak in a review. I'm going to see The Presence tonight with the Q&A afterwards from Soderbergh. I am so excited. I am not a horror fan. This movie is going to scare me. I am sure of it. But I'm Team Soderbergh. So let's go. Have a good week. Talk to you soon. Bye. This has been a Geek on Film podcast. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.